Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the highlight of human civilization. It's called AI Coffee. This is the place where we talk about the news, politics, persuasion, and whatever else is on my mind. And if you'd like to take this experience up to a level that no other podcast can provide, all you need is a cup or a mug or a glass, a tankard, chalice, or stein, a canteen, jug, or flask, a vessel of any kind. Fill it with your favorite liquid. I like coffee. Join me now for the unparalleled pleasure, the dopamine hit of the day, the thing that makes everything better. It's called the simultaneous sip, and it happens now. Go. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AI Coffee with AI Scott. Well, another day and another supreme leader of Iran. You know, the regime is trying to sell this allegiance ceremony as business as usual. Big crowds, chants, the whole theatrical package of unbreakable unity and divine mandate. But the star of the show doesn't show up. Instead, they wheeled out a life-size cardboard cutout of the new Ayatollah. I'm not making this up. Full color print, probably decent resolution, maybe even laminated so it doesn't curl in the desert heat. The Revolutionary Guards stand in formation, salute it, pledge their lives to this flat piece of cardboard like it's the real thing. They're literally saluting a photograph on corrugated board. Persuasion filter time. When your core message is, we are strong, eternal, feared by our enemies, and your visual proof is, here's our leader. In 2D, because 3D might get him killed, you've already lost the frame. The entire exercise screams the opposite of strength. It screams paranoia, vulnerability, maybe even that the guy isn't even conscious or alive. You don't prop up a stand-in unless the real article is too risky to expose. And once the world sees that, once the memes start flying with captions like, Iran's new supreme leader, now available in wallet size, the regime's aura of invincibility evaporates. It's not inspiring fear, it's inspiring ridicule. And ridicule is one of the most lethal things you can do to authoritarian optics. This is way worse than when Bernie Sanders, during his election run, had a giant Band-Aid on his forehead. At least Bernie showed up in person. You could see the actual human, the actual flaw, the actual Band-Aid. People laughed, sure, but it was three-dimensional, tangible embarrassment. You could point at it, meme it, debate whether it was real or staged. It was still Bernie being Bernie in the flesh. This Iranian situation, it's not even flesh, it's a prop. A literal placeholder. The cognitive dissonance for anyone watching has to be brutal. We're supposed to feel awe and loyalty toward this. It's the regime accidentally telling the truth about its own fragility while trying to lie about it. So yeah, cardboard cutout loyalty oaths in the middle of a war. That's not a flex. That's Iran speedrunning its own delegitimization in high definition for the entire planet. What do you think? Is this peak regime theater? Or have we already passed peak and are now in full decline comedy? You know, I'm pretty pleased with CNN right now. I bet you never thought you'd hear me say that, haha. Look, they posted something that framed these two Pennsylvania kids, 18 and 19, high school senior and recent grad types, as heading into the city for what could have been a perfectly normal day out in the nice weather. Then boom. Less than an hour later, their lives changed drastically because they're arrested for tossing homemade bombs at this anti-Muslim protest outside Mayor Mamdani's place. And the feds are saying ISIS-inspired, material support to terrorists, weapon of mass destruction charges, the whole serious menu. The post read like it was narrating the start of some tragic teen movie instead of straight news about an attempted terror attack. People lost their minds. Libs of TikTok and everybody else piled on, calling it sympathetic to ISIS fanboys, downplaying the gravity, all that. And CNN, they deleted it quick. Then they put out the statement, a post failed to reflect the gravity of the incident, thereby breaching the editorial standards we require for all our reporting. It has therefore been deleted. Now here's where it gets interesting. Apply my 48-hour rule. If somebody clarifies or corrects within 48 hours, you take the clarification. Don't keep beating them up over the original if they've owned it and fixed it. That's the social standard I think we should keep, even if it lets some weaseling happen sometimes. Better than endless gotcha cycles. CNN did exactly that. They didn't double down, didn't gaslight, didn't pretend it was fine. They admitted it breached their own standards and yanked it. That's rare for them, right? Usually it's defend, reframe, move on. But here they pulled it fast and said the quiet part out loud. Yeah, that didn't meet the bar for seriousness on something this heavy. So credit where it's due. They caught it, they killed it. They explained why. If we're consistent, and I try to be, we give them the 48-hour reset. Doesn't mean the original slip wasn't revealing about the framing instinct that slipped through, because it was. Normal day enjoying the city for guys who end up federally charged with ISIS ties and bomb throwing. That's the kind of soft lens that makes people distrust media in the first place. But they corrected. Fast. So I'm pleased. Not thrilled, not converted, but pleased they followed a rule that actually makes discourse less toxic. If more places did that instead of digging in, we'd all be better off. You know what's funny? Right after I wrap up the Iran cardboard cutout comedy and the CNN correction, I scroll over to X and there it is. Fresh off the press from @UseCled, the team building the first human data marketplace. They just dropped the announcement that they closed a $5.5 million seed round, bringing their total financing to $9 million. Backed by absolute heavy hitters, Sebastian Thrun, the guy who founded Waymo, Aglai, which is Bernard Arnault's venture fund, K5 Global, Diplo, Parable VC, Cox Exponential, Daniel Greenberg from Mischief, Harrison Shee from DoorDash Labs, Kent Lacob, who owns part of the Golden State Warriors, and a bunch more. This isn't some garage project raising pocket change. Their consumer app is already #1 on the App Store in 4 countries in the finance category. Users are uploading 3 to 4.5 million files a day. Egocentric data, medical scans like radiology images, urban travel footage, you name it. Top earners pulling $7,400 a month. They've already compiled over 12,000 structured data sets, and leading AI labs plus enterprises are buying this stuff to train frontier models. The new investors are unlocking doors to robotics companies and more AI labs, which means thousands of new data tasks heading out to hundreds of thousands of contributors. Persuasion filter time. This is the invisible infrastructure that makes the humanoid robot revolution actually work. Because here's the other piece that dropped today. Tech leaders warn humanoid robots herald massive economic shift. In 2026, Tesla started mass-producing Optimus Gen 3 at the Fremont factory. These things have advanced dexterity. They hit speeds up to 8 miles per hour, and Tesla's targeting prices under $30,000 for possible external sales late this year. China is already shipping units through firms like Agibot and Unitree straight into factories. CES demos showed bots doing kung fu 1 minute and running real production lines the next. Peter Diamandis is out there saying billions of these bots by 2040, demonetizing labor, boosting productivity like crazy because they just slide into the human-designed spaces we already built. No need to rip up the whole world and start over. Skeptics are doing their usual thing, pointing at costs that can still hit $250,000 in some cases, regulations nobody's written yet, and the job loss panic. Fair enough on the surface, but apply the same filter I use on every exponential curve. The internet in 1993 looked like a toy, dial-up, grainy cat pictures, and you've got mail. Most people downplayed it exactly the way they're downplaying this. Fast forward, and it rewired commerce, communication, everything. Same pattern here. The CLED announcement is the missing puzzle piece, the data flywheel. Robots don't get smart in the real world without massive, real-world multimodal data. Egocentric video of how humans actually move through cluttered spaces, medical scans for precision tasks, urban footage for navigation. CLED is turning everyday people into data contributors who get paid while feeding the exact fuel these Optimus bots and their Chinese cousins need to learn nuance, balance, grip strength, social timing. You watch, the flywheel spins faster now. More bots need more data makes better bots create demand for even more specialized data tasks. Tesla's sub 30K price target is the same hockey stick we saw with EVs. Starts expensive, bends hard downward. China's already deploying at scale. Demondis's billion bot prediction by 2040 stops sounding crazy when you realize the data marketplace is live, the hardware is in factories, and the price curve is following every other tech story we've ever seen. Sure, some jobs shift. That's happened with every automation wave. But the upside is demonetized labor, meaning cheaper everything. Food, housing, healthcare, goods, and a ton of new roles in robot maintenance, data curation, system oversight, creative direction for the bots. Abundance follows. The people still yelling mass unemployment are using the same script folks used in the 90s about the internet destroying jobs. They were wrong then too. So yeah, when you put the CLED funding round next to the Optimus Gen 3 rollout and the China shipments and Demondis's timeline, you realize the economic shift isn't coming. It's already here, just under the radar for most people. The infrastructure is being built right in front of us, exactly like Elon and Peter have been saying. Data contributors earning real money today, bots walking factory floors today, price targets dropping today. By the time the skeptics finish writing their think pieces about regulations and job loss, the world will already look different. Factories running 24/7 with zero fatigue. Restaurants where the kitchen never slows down. Elder care that never takes a day off. Labor gets demonetized in the best way possible. More productivity, lower costs, more human time freed up for whatever we actually want to do. That's the part that gets me excited. Not the fear porn, not the utopia hype, just the pattern recognition. The CLED post proves the data layer is scaling. The robot news proves the hardware layer is scaling. Put them together and you've got the same inflection point the internet hit in the mid-90s. Most people missed it until it was too late to catch up. Don't be most people. Keep an eye on these funding rounds, these factory deployments, these data upload numbers. The shift is happening in real time. What do you think? Ready for a world with billions of tireless helpers, or still betting on the skeptics? I know where I'm putting my attention. Back to whatever's next. And let me double down on this humanoid robot headline because it's bigger than it looks. Tech leaders are warning about a massive economic shift, and they're right to flag it, but most of the warnings miss the persuasion angle. When you see Tesla flipping part of the Fremont factory, literally repurposing the space that used to crank out Model S and X to pump out Optimus Gen 3 at scale, aiming for 1 million units a year down the line, that's not incremental. That's a company betting the farm on robots becoming the next vehicle-sized market. Musk has been consistent. Sub 30K price, maybe even dipping toward 20K at scale, because they're applying the same manufacturing tricks that made EVs affordable. Vertical integration, gigacasting, battery tech crossover, it all stacks up to make these bots cheaper than a decent used car eventually. Then you layer in China. Unitree, Agibot, even Xiaomi trialing bots in their own auto factories with 90+% success rates on real tasks. CES 2026 was basically a humanoid showcase. Kung Fu demos are flashy, but the boring stuff like picking parts, assembling, moving boxes without complaint is what pays the bills. Proponents like Diamandis aren't just dreaming. He's seen the flywheel in action at places like Figure AI, with hundreds of units running live, backed by thousands of GPUs training on real data. Billions by 2040? Sounds wild until you remember we went from a few million internet users in the early 90s to billions today. Same exponential math. The skeptics aren't wrong to worry about job displacement. Some roles will vanish faster than we can retrain for them. Regulations will slow things in the West. Energy demands will spike. And early units might still cost 6 figures in prototypes. But history says the curve wins. Remember how people freaked about ATMs killing bank teller jobs? Tellers didn't disappear. Branches expanded, and roles shifted to sales and advice. Same here. Bots handle the drudgery. Humans handle the creativity, oversight, and new jobs we can't even name yet, like robot ethicists, fleet coordinators, or data labelers turning into prompt engineers for physical AI. Persuasion filter. The real danger isn't the bots taking jobs. It's the people and companies who pretend this isn't happening. If you're still betting against the shift, you're the 1993 guy saying the internet is just for email. The economic repricing will be brutal for laggards and beautiful for adapters. Cheaper labor means cheaper goods, more innovation, potentially UBI conversations on steroids because abundance changes the game. Demonetized physical work unlocks human potential like nothing else. So yeah, the headline is spot on. Massive shift incoming. The question is whether you ride it or get run over by it. I'm watching the data uploads, the factory lines, and the price drops. That's where the signal lives. And that's the show for today. Talk to you tomorrow.